Alright, so after watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in theaters, one of the first things that came to mind was, what are my favorite Spider-Man movies in order? So, I jotted down the movies, rearranged them, thought of reasons why I had one above the other, and eventually I completed the list and I was very satisfied with the list. And before I recorded this video, I decided to comment my list down on a pretty cool YouTuber's channel. I hit up one of my homeboys about it, showed it to one of my roommates, and sent it to my cousin. And the YouTuber's response to it was, "Your takes hurt me. You are wildin'. You are wildin'." My roommate was like, "Nigga, what the fuck is this bullshit? Rearrange this shit. Switch it around. What is wrong with you?" My freaking homeboy was like, bro, Shane, I just got done watching Across the Spider-Verse with my family. What is this? We need to talk, Shane. And then my cousin was like, "Hey, it's a pretty cool list, but why is it ranked like this? What?" And I'm just like, yeah, damn. Do I want to make this video anymore? And so eventually I was like, you know what? F it. It wouldn't hurt to make this video regardless, Okay, so I'm saying this because I'm giving you a warning. Well, that's the thing about watching the video, of course, but I'm giving you a warning that this list isn't a generic list, so I assume it may be weird to you. And yes, nostalgia and bias plays a big part of this video, but at the same time, I'm going to explain myself for each ranking. And no, I am not looking at these movies like a movie critic, like, this is cinema, this is art, that poetic scene left me befuddled. No, I'm just enjoying these movies, man. And I'm not gonna lie to myself, these movies are ranked by favoritism, personal best, and what I enjoyed more. And I do not dislike any of these movies in this video. I like and love every single one of these movies. It's just that I had to rank them, So just because I have a movie above an objectively better movie doesn't mean I dislike it or hate it or think it's a worse movie. Just that I just happen to favor the other movie more, So with all that being said, it's time to get started with the video of Spider-Man movies ranked by favoritism.
He said it!
For the honorable mentions, I'm gonna give it to Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius. So these movies were originally part of the list, but then I thought about it, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna change my mind. Because they do connect to the Spider-Man movies, but more by proxy. Alright, so for Venom, that movie holds a special place in my heart because I watched it on my 19th birthday and I enjoyed the movie. Just that I wish the movie was darker. Not literally dark, you could barely see the damn movie, but edginess and, Venom actually being an actual antagonist type shit and yada yada yada. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Okay, this may sound funny, but I like that movie more than the first one, mainly since I can actually see the fight scenes. And Morbius. Alright, I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw that movie, I hated it. I hated it because I seen a potential good movie. I seen some potential in the movie. But when I watched the movie, I was wrong. I was looking too deep. This movie is not a bad movie. This movie is a movie. This movie wasn't gonna be part of the top 10 list, mainly because this movie transcends placements. It's beyond reality, time, space, numbers, the universe. This movie is beyond all that shit. When this nigga Morbius said it's Morbin time, bro, I was watching the movie by myself. But for some odd reason, I heard cheering in the background. This movie's not number 3. It's not number 1. It's number Morb. This movie is such a movie. Sony re-released the movie in theaters. Who does that? Who does that? James Cameron. His Avatar movie. The number 1 movie of all time. Morbius is on that level. Yeah, this movie doesn't deserve to be in top 10 lists. It's beyond the concept of the Pulp Fiction of Max.
Ultra instinct!
Oh my god, that's bullshit. What the fuck did I just say? That sounded stupid. My phone called me out my bullshit. I got a random notification conveniently as I'm talking about more. Okay, that's kind of perfect. I'm not cutting that out the video. Okay. All right, here we get to the numbers. For number 10, I'm gonna give it to The Amazing Spider-Man. So a little funny story about this movie. So when they canceled Spider-Man 4, I was understandably bummed out by the information, and when they announced this movie, I was pretty much a hater for it because I didn't fuck with the idea of somebody else playing Spider-Man. So I did not watch this movie until like 6 or 8 months after release in theaters. It was on cable and stuff. And when I stumbled across it, my whole goal was pretty much to like hate on the movie and roast it and stuff. And when I watched it, as I'm watching it in hater mode, I started like cracking a smile and then was like starting to fuck with the movie. Then when I finished the movie, I really, really liked the movie. Like from the scenes where he's skating in the hallway, confidently talking to girls, standing up to bullies, the way he revealed himself to Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man, the way Gwen Stacy's father schooled Peter Parker, making him Spider-Man. From the action, the effects, the soundtrack, Emma Stone's portrayal as Gwen Stacy, how she was confident, competent, actually smart and stuff. The Lizard's design, it was I didn't mind it. It was cool for what it was. And Andrew Garfield's overall portrayal as Peter Parker was just pretty cool, and I really fucked with it. Like they were like, when it came to like his comedy, a lot of jokes he said weren't funny, but the way he said them was like shocking, and I just started laughing at them. He was pretty cool for all the variety of reasons I said earlier, and the way his movements was as Peter Parker was actually like very nimble and stuff like that. And like, you know, I really like this movie. There are a bunch of scenes and stuff about this movie that bother me, like from the plot, for example. There are certain plot lines and scenes that progress and they just either halt it or just forget about it. Like we all know the scenes, right? You know, Peter Parker forgetting about Uncle Ben's killer, him forgetting why he went to Oscorp, which was to meet Dr. Connors, and that rat lizard that was in the office that they just forgot about, and yada yada. And okay, so there's another stuff that holds this movie back for me. It's kind of petty, but I gotta mention them. Okay, Peter Parker's Spidey suit. Like I didn't hate the suit. It's just that the suit's material looked like it was like made out of like a red basketball or something like that. And Spider-Man gets shot by a bullet. Like, dog, that really grinded my gears. I can't really forget this movie for that, because like, dog, you're Spider-Man. You have spider sense. You're faster than, bro. You're not MCU Quicksilver, dog. But other than that, there's more stuff about this movie that held it back dramatically. But at the same time, I really, really like this movie, and I am still glad I watched the movie and all that good stuff. But yeah, now to the next movie of this list. All right, for number 9 goes to Spider-Man Homecoming. So like, I like this movie. When I first saw this movie, I had to put the boot to a leg to watch it because my folks didn't want to take me to the theaters. And the next time I fully watched the movie was preparing for Spider-Man No Way Home, going on a little Spidey movie binge watch. And between that time, I usually just watch my favorite scenes on YouTube, and I can't really think of anything negative about this movie, so I'm just gonna name all stuff I liked. And one of my favorite scenes of this movie was when Peter Parker was trapped underneath the rubble, and he's like screaming for help, he's panicking, he's hyperventilating, but eventually he finds that strength to escape the situation on his own, because he figures out that he doesn't have to rely on other people for help. He has strength to do it himself, and I thought that was a really powerful and great scene. I really liked the comedy of this movie. The movie was genuinely funny. I like the cool action scenes and feats that were displayed in this movie. The effects were cool. I liked how the beginning of the movie started off with Peter Parker's perspective of Civil War, but as a vlog. Thought that was pretty cool. The Vulture, really great antagonist of this movie. I really fucked with him. I'm glad he didn't die, because he was really good as a villain. Aunt May. Aunt May. Aunt May was pretty cool in this movie. I fucked with Aunt May in this movie. I liked how she pointed out that Tony Stark's a dick, basically, and asked Peter, what you see in this guy? Oh yeah, speaking of Peter Parker, so Tom Holland's portrayal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, I really fucked with it. Like, I don't think it's even an opinion, but more of a fact. But like, his portrayal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man is perfect. I liked how he started off young as the road. Freaking his suit is high tech and I fucked with it, but I'm very glad he has the moving eyes. Like I was like, yes, he got the moving eyes. Let's go. Freaking I liked how his interactions with other characters in the movie was made sense for his portrayal. I'll tell you, went around the neighborhood being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, you know, doing friendly neighborhood things as Spider-Man. I can't really say a pun for that, but yeah. And I genuinely just really liked how Peter Parker in this movie was progressing with baby steps. Like he wasn't like automatically jumping from skyscrapers. He was starting off small and progressing that way. And when he got the suit taken away from his prior experiences, and then as situations happened to him while he didn't have the high-tech suit, he was still progressing. I really liked how all that was happening. But overall, I like this movie. So like, I can't think of anything truly negative, but I am gonna throw this out there. When I first saw this movie, I felt betrayed because all the trailers and the posters and promos made it seem like Spider-Man and Iron Man were going to team up together and fight crime or do some superhero work together on some Batman and Robin shit, and it didn't happen. I'm like, gosh darn it, but it's not really a negative because it's like, it's fine. I didn't really mind because the movie was generally just overall great, and I liked the movie. And this movie would be higher, but I'm gonna explain why it's this low later on in the video. So yeah. Okay, so for number 8 goes to Spider-Man Far From Home. I watched this movie for the first time during my 3-year-long break from watching Marvel stuff after Endgame, and I watched it basically by accident. I was hanging out with family and they had the movie on. I watched it with them, and when I watched it, I liked it. I thought it was a genuinely good movie, but what was kind of bizarre about the movie wasn't the movie itself, it was the reaction towards the movie. Like people, I was shocked. People hated the movie. And I saw this weird trend calling Tom Holland Spider-Man Spider-Boy Jr. But what was bizarre about that, this movie negates that slug right there, because in this movie, he wasn't even trying to be Iron Man. He was trying to be a normal guy, trying to have fun on a vacation. I thought it was kind of weird right there. But other than that, I liked this movie when I first saw it. When I rewatched it, preparing for No Way Home, I still liked it, had the same reaction towards it. I truly liked how Peter Parker in this movie was pretty much coping with the fact that his mentor is passed away. He's been snapped for 4 years, had to start over in school, trying to balance out having a normal life and superhero work. He had a pretty understandable reasoning behind the decision between the glasses and Mysterio, because like, Mysterio was pretty smooth with that lie. And the final battle between Spider-Man and Mysterio and his army of drones was very satisfying to watch. I really fucked with Zendaya's portrayal as MJ. She was pretty useful overall in this movie, and I really digged how she figured out Peter Parker was Spider-Man. It was pretty obvious, and especially with the context of the MCU as a whole, it made perfect sense for that to happen. Mysterio was a pretty great antagonist of this movie. I don't think this is a bad take, but like, even though I really liked Mysterio in this movie, I wish he was more of like a nemesis / an antagonist from Peter Parker. Cause like, when you think about it, he was basically an antagonist created by Tony Stark. So that's like the only thing I didn't really like about it. But other than that, it's pretty cool. I truly liked how Peter Parker in this movie pretty much fully mastered his spider sense, or Peter Tingle, and it reminded me of Goku getting the hang of Ultra Instinct when he was fighting Jiren, when, you know, he closed the eyes and then was going in, being a badass, stuff like that. That was pretty cool right there. The comedy, the action, the soundtrack, the feats displayed in this movie, and overall, I really liked this movie and I thought it was all good. And that post-credit scene was phenomenal. That's one of the best post-credit scenes I ever seen in movies and stuff. And other than that, I'm saying all this stuff about this movie, and I bet you're wondering, why is Homecoming in this movie so low? Well, I'm going to explain why later on in the video. And don't worry, it's going to be pretty understandable, okay? So, yeah. Alrighty, number 7 goes to Spider-Man 3. I know what you're thinking. No, I'm not trying to act different. I always liked this movie. When I first seen this movie as a kid, I liked it. And then as time passed on, me watching the movie every now and then, I still liked it. And then when I got my first computer, hopped on the interwebs and learned the bad flaws about the movie, learned that the movie was hated, learned this movie was considered bad, and I understood the flaws, I understood the hate. But here's the thing though, I still like this movie, man. We can be like, it's nostalgia. Yes, but also no. Yes, because like, come on. I watched this show as a little kid and I always liked it. But also no, which I'm about to explain, Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home. So I have this movie above those two, mainly because the fact that this movie is more impactful, more engaging, and more intense compared to those movies. Like the fight scenes, for example. When Peter and Harry had that tension build up between the two throughout the movies into this movie, when they fought, it was very intense. Like when Harry was dragging and throwing Peter through walls and glass, I'm like, oh. And then as he's fighting him, Peter's making sure he doesn't lose the ring. The rematch, even though it was devastating to watch because they're friends, Harry had that shit coming, but it was also a good fight scene. When Peter was getting jumped by Sandman and Venom, that shit was like intense and engaging. When Sandman was getting chased by the cops and that dog pounced on him, he slapped the shit out of the damn dog. I'm like, God damn. But then he fell in that pit of sand and the scientists turned on the machine and thought it was a bird. And I'm at the slide. But you know, when he got turned into the sand, when he rose up as the sand, it was so freaking beautiful. Like when he rose up, fell down, and you saw that picture of his daughter, he regained his strength to manifest the sand. That scene was just so freaking beautiful. Eddie Brock, he was basically Peter Parker, but an asshole version of him, plus more. And when he became Venom, the way he became Venom was corny as fuck. But at the same time, hear me out, this may sound very weird, but I actually liked his Venom, and I liked it all because it reminded me of a Xenomorph. Alien's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it just reminded me of a Xenomorph. The relationship problems that's going on between Peter and Mary Jane was questionable, but at the same time understandable. Like, you know, Mary Jane was acting all jealous and shit over Peter after she promised him she'll be by his side in the previous movie, but at the same time, Peter's ego went up through the roof and he was acting like an asshole without even realizing it. Harry's sacrifice in his last words before he passed away, and Peter Parker's forgiveness to Sandman accidentally killing Uncle Ben was very impactful, and I felt it. I felt that, man. The OST in this movie is great. A lot of the effects didn't really age well, but at the end of the day, it's just effects. It's cool. The way they handled the three villains of the movie, it could have been done better. Like, for example, Harry Osborn. If they had him pretend to have amnesia the entire movie and was like legit a villain the whole time, that would have made him a really great villain, in my opinion. But it's the past now. And Bully Maguire, enough said. I like this movie. There you go. All right. So number 6 goes to Spider-Man. A little fun fact, this movie was originally higher, like top 3 type shit, but after rewatching these movies, preparing for No Way Home, and then after No Way Home, rewatching them just because, a certain movie surpassed it. And then, well, spoiler alert, the next 2 movies negated the nostalgia and bias. Kind of crazy, but hey, I still really like this movie. What else can I say about this movie? I like Tobey Maguire's portrayal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I really liked how nice Mary Jane was in this movie, unlike a certain future movie. Uncle Ben's speech was pretty cool. Aunt May, she was alright, but William Dafoe's portrayal as Green Goblin was really great. And when I was younger, I actually never minded the mask, but now after watching No Way Home and seeing what other people complained about throughout the years, now I see why everybody want that mask off. The soundtrack of this movie was really great. The effects, man, their effects is cool, but I ain't gonna lie, when I was little, I used to be like so amazed watching the effects because they reminded me of like some PS1 cutscene or whatever. Dog, the fight scenes and the events between Spider-Man and Green Goblin were very dope. Like the way Peter Parker first became Spider-Man with Spider Sense activated, climbing walls, had the suit, doing Spider-Man stuff. That shit was dope. I like the way Norman Osborn was basically a freaking psychopath as Green Goblin, and I thought over the top it was, like for the fact that he had a freight car full of kids and Mary Jane on the other hand, and gave him that ultimatum, drop both of them, and you seen both the kids and Mary Jane was in both of the Spidey Islands, was really dope to see. The fight scenes, not just the final fight scene, but all the fight scenes in general in this movie were just dope. The lessons and decisions that Peter Parker had to make in this movie were very impactful. Oh yeah. So J.K. Simmons as James Jonah Anderson was very goated, and I really liked how his character did not betray Peter Parker. But all right. Let me explain why this movie was a little lower. So like growing up, right, I always watched Spider-Man 1, but I always rewatched Spider-Man 2 so many times compared to Spider-Man 1. And there was something I never noticed growing up until I rewatched this movie, preparing for No Way Home, and is watching it recently. This movie is very corny, okay? And that's not a bad thing. I really still like the out-of-date jokes, the certain scenes that happen in this movie that are kind of crazy to see, the lines of dialogue. I still like all of them, but that threw me off when I was rewatching this movie. Like, there are so many scenes I can name, but I'm just name one. When Norman Osborn became Green Goblin, when he was in that chamber and was shaking, that shit was like freaking funny. I'm like, what? And then when he grabbed his slave and had that insane face and killed him. Okay, so now I see why everyone want that mask off, because he can make some crazy faces, but at the same time that caught me off guard. But when he hopped on that table, did that pose, it was like, dog, that I wish I could reenact my laugh. I burst out laughing over how shocking that scene was, because I didn't realize this movie's very corny, but I still really fuck with this movie. So yeah, now to go to the next movies that negated my bias and nostalgia. So number 5 goes to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So like, I literally cannot think of anything negative to say about this movie. The best thing I could think of negative-wise to say is for myself. So like, when I first saw this movie in theaters, 2018, I never rewatched it because I simply just seen it as a great anime movie. That was it. But then after watching it again for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, refresh my memory about it, I never realized how great this movie is. And that's pretty much an L, because I could have been rewatching this movie for years. But yeah, this movie is great. All right, and also I'm not about to like suck off this movie for its animation, because I wasn't like amazed by the animation. I thought it was just great animation. That was it. Because like, I watch DC animated movies, I watch cartoons, I watch anime, I watch animated stuff in general. So like, seeing this movie animated the way it was very cool to see, but it was like, I wasn't amazed by it, because I always watched animated stuff. And there's so much stuff I want to talk about this movie, from the Spider-Man variants, the reveal of the Dr. Olivia Octavius, Kingpin's little storyline, want to get his family back from an alternate universe, the plot line of this movie, the soundtrack, the decisions made by the characters in this movie. It's so much I can say, but I'm gonna just sum it all down that I liked literally everything about this movie. But one thing I do want to mention is that I really liked one of the lessons of the movie, and that's very inspiring, that anybody can become Spider-Man and anybody can wear the mask. And I like the progression of building up Miles Morales to be a Spider-Man. And overall, there's so much I can say about this movie, but I'll be here talking about this movie for hours. So yeah, this movie's great. I really like this movie. It somehow negated my nostalgia and bias over Spider-Man 1. And yeah, so now to get to the next movie. For number 4 goes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I don't know how they pulled this off, but I like this one even more than the first one. Like, it's debatable between which movie is better than the other, but at the same time, Into the Spider-Verse is a full movie, while Across the Spider-Verse is a part of a full movie. But at the end of the day, I like this movie more than the first one in terms of the animation, the tension, the impact between what's going on with the characters, the clash of ideologies between Miguel O'Hara and Miles Morales. Morales. I liked how they showed the impact between Miles and Gwen keeping their spider life a secret from their parents. I like the OST better. Like the first movie had good songs, but this movie had like way more songs that I wanted to download and listen to on my free time. I like the progression between Miles as being a Spider-Man. What they did with the Spot was kind of insane. Like, I legit thought he was gonna be like a Saturday morning cartoon, get kicked aside in like 5 minutes and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. But then he turned out to be a greater villain than Kane the Conqueror of the MCU. It's kind of crazy. And this, just like Into the Spider-Verse, I could talk about this movie for hours. It's not like a cop-out, but at the same time, if you want to hear my thoughts about this movie fully, I made a video about it. It's called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's the perfect sequel. You should check out my channel, look at the video, hear my thoughts about it, and yeah. And then, depending on Beyond the Spider-Verse, I ain't gonna lie, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse may become my default top 3. Because like, my top 3 are my top 3 mainly because of like bias and nostalgia and understandable reasons why I have them my top 3. But at the same time, I literally have nothing bad to say about these movies. And I really like all these characters in these movies, and like, I don't know, like, I watched Across the Spider-Verse 2 times in theaters, and after I get done with this video, I'm about to watch it a 3rd time in theaters. So it's kind of crazy how great these movies are. So all that being said, now let's get to the next one. For my number 3 spot goes to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I know what you're thinking. No, I am not trying to act different, damn it. I always loved this movie. Not really liked, loved, okay? And I can explain, okay?
It's not because I'm biased. I'm not biased. What are you talking about? I'm not biased. Come on now. But
I can explain myself, okay? This movie has the same problems as The Amazing Spider-Man 1 with the plot details not making any sense, plot lines that start and don't even finish, scenes that should be rearranged, decisions in this movie doesn't make any sense, and etc, etc, etc. But here's the thing though, in my eyes, the positives in this movie high-key negates the negatives. From the Spider-Man swinging scenes that were in first-person viewing, making it seem like you were swinging with him, the overall soundtrack, the effects, the comedy, the tension, the montages, the scenes that were pretty dark and edgy, Andrew Garfield's portrayal as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, cracking good jokes, being inspiring and charismatic, the fight scenes and the feats that were being presented, all of Gwen Stacy's and Peter Parker's scenes, yes, including her death scene that nearly made me cry. That Spidey suit, the damn suit, man, got an upgrade from that basketball material to being a better looking suit. Hell, being the best live action suit you're used to. Aunt May expressing her thoughts to Peter Parker about taking care of him and ranting about his parents that nobody gave a damn about. Yes, including me. That song that was being promoted with this movie called It's On Again by Alicia Keys and Kendrick Lamar. Andrew Garfield in this movie showing that he's the best live action Spider-Man. Well, used to. But he's still my favorite, damn it. What else? The comic nods and references thrown into this movie. Gwen Stacy's speech on that computer helping out Peter Parker getting back to doing spider work the best he can while dealing with the fact that she's gone. And by gone, I mean unalived. Wait, all right, man, she died, right? Oh shit, I did. Emma Stone's portrayal as Gwen Stacy being the best live action girlfriend for Peter Parker. Yes, no cough this time. What else? That bullshit ass ending that made me mad as fuck. Cause they promoted the Rhino versus Spider-Man fight everywhere. But even though I was mad, I was still hyped for more. This movie has its flaws, it does. But at the same time, there are so many positives in this movie. I can't hate this movie. I can't call this movie bad. I mean, like, the movie is objectively bad. But at the same time, this movie's awesome in my eyes. I love it. Hell, this used to be my favorite Spider-Man movie until I rewatched a certain Spider-Man movie. And speaking of that certain Spider-Man movie, number 2 goes to Spider-Man 2. And oh my goodness, dog. This movie had no right to be this damn good, man. It still holds up to this day. It's a great sequel. The action scenes are amazing. Like, come on now. The train fight scene, the shockingly horror movie moments in this movie were dope. Like Dr. Octopus arms killing the other doctors in that one scene. The arc that Peter Parker was going through by losing his powers and regaining them was really cool. Okay, so remember how I said about Spider-Man 1 being corny and stuff like that? This movie also has corny stuff in it, but the thing is, they're funny, you know? Like, they're actually legit funny, and also other legit funny parts of this movie. The effects, ain't a lot of effects still look good to me in this movie. I don't think they were, I guess there could be some dated if you like stare at the screen with like a magnifying glass or something like that, but I guess they still hold up. I don't know, but the effects are cool to me. What else about this movie? So when I recently rewatched this movie, I accidentally watched the Spider-Man 2.1 version, and oh my goodness, those few moments add on to this movie made it even better. Like, you know how I mentioned everything about the Amazing Spider-Man 2, how I loved it and stuff? Like, I always loved Spider-Man 2, but those few moments boosted this movie in my, like, favoritism wise, just dramatically. I guess I could say my negatives right quick. Okay, so Mary Jane. I don't know what they were thinking with Mary Jane in this movie. I actually didn't like her in this movie at all. Like, I don't get what happened. The first movie, she was super nice, but this movie, she was like very mean. I guess she was that pissed off that Peter Parker didn't want to get with her in the first movie. That's kind of crazy. But I didn't like what they did with Mary Jane's movie. Okay, so Peter Parker getting physically abused by people, that shit was triggering me, okay? I was getting mad watching the movie. I'm like, stop hitting this nigga, what the fuck's wrong with you? I was getting triggered watching this movie, but other than that, they aren't really negatives about it. I really fuck with Doc Ock. He's a great villain. I like the build up for Harry, even though I hate it when you slap Peter. But other than that, I like the build up for Harry, wanting to, get his revenge and shit. Tobey Maguire's portrayal as Spider-Man and / Peter Parker is like still good in my eyes in this movie. Like, it's so much more stuff I can say, but I don't want to be here for like an hour. So all I can say is this: I love this movie. I think this movie's great. It's a great sequel. I watched this movie too many goddamn times growing up. Yeah. So now to the next one. All right, number 1 goes to Spider-Man No Way Home. I know what you're thinking. I had this number 1 because Tobey Maguire's in this movie. Andrew Garfield's in this movie. The old villains are in this movie. So yes, yes, that's like a bonus, like a big bonus of the movie. But the actual reason is what happens to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Okay, so I had Homecoming and Far From Home low as fuck, mainly since I said it earlier because they weren't that intense or engaging type shit, but I wanted this Spider-Man to suffer. It may sound weird, but I wanted him to experience like a great loss. Like, he lost his mentor and all, but I needed something more. But this movie gave me what I wanted, but on steroids, man. This man lost everything. He lost his Aunt May. He lost Happy. He lost his girlfriend, his best friend. Everybody doesn't know him anymore. Like, he lost literally everything. And when he had that chance to get something back, like his girlfriend, his best friend Ned, he realized that they're better off without knowing him. And he goes out and tries to do Spidey shit while dealing with the fact that he's alone now, and he got a shitty apartment, and he has a homemade suit that, oh my goodness, the suit looks amazing, man. I thought Andrew Garfield's suit was going to be like the definitive best suit ever. No, this movie has Tom Holland's suit surpass that. Freaking insane. And I loved how Tom Holland's Spider-Man, or Peter 1, I'm going to say Tom Holland to make it easier for me. Tom Holland's Spider-Man ideologies clash with Doctor Strange. Oh my goodness, this video's kind of long. Let me wrap this up right quick. So I really fucked with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I liked how they showed that he was wise and went through a lot. Andrew Garfield showing why he was my favorite Spider-Man. I liked how this movie made me realize that Green Goblin is actually a really great villain. Like, I always thought he was a good villain, but at the same time, I didn't really like see it, if that makes sense. This movie shows me. I really fucked with the fact that they pretty much redeemed Electro, because I didn't mind Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but this movie made him better, and I really liked how he got the arc reactor, and I liked what they did with the villains. I really fucked with Zendaya's interpretation of MJ and show how she's a pretty good live action Peter girlfriend and stuff like that. I really love what they did with Aunt May in this movie. They made her basically the Uncle Ben, and I really fucked with that shit. And I really loved how this movie made me really fuck with Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, I always thought he was like the perfect like live action Peter Parker, but I didn't really favorite him like Andrew Garfield's. But depending on the new movie you got, because this movie's pushing it. Like, I really fuck with Tom Holland Spider-Man like dramatically now, but depending on his next movie, Tom Holland Spider-Man may become my favorite one. But then again, there's also Beyond the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, and he may also become my number one. So those two may be like competing to be my number one favorites. But other than that, I don't know what to say. As you can hear from my voice, I really love this movie. Just throwing this out there, when I first saw this movie in theaters, I watched it 5 times. That's how much I love this movie. So yeah, so I don't know what to say. So if you liked the video, hope you liked it. Hope you like my takes on the video. Share it around if you want to. If you want, check out my channel. I have a variety of videos. And little fun fact, even though this list is the way it is, depending on Beyond the Spider-Verse and Tom Holland's new movie, this list is going to change dramatically. But other than that, sorry for rambling now. Have a good one, and that's the video.